Irony and verbal irony. Verbal irony is what we're going to notice a lot in rhetoric because it is the art of speaking and putting language together. Why is irony used? Well, first of all, what is it? It is the difference between what is said and what is meant, what the speaker means, or it is the difference between what is said and reality. There is that gap that leaves the audience kind of questioning or may draw them in and pay attention more. So with verbal irony and irony, it can also be used to expose or to uncover, right? Bring attention to discrepancies or differences in facts. So it can be used to say, hey, here's the truth. And they do that by showing it through verbal irony, the discrepancies. It's also a way to create the writer's point of view. And so as you the writer of and reader of that speech, will have to figure out how it is used. Is it used to create point of view? And how does this writer of this speech do that through irony or verbal irony? It also can be used to make fun of something and to poke fun at. And then we have here is the contrast. Like I said before, the difference between what is said and what is meant. This is just a slide to kind of show more about what verbal irony is doing. If it's raining outside, you might hear someone say, what lovely weather we're having, right? I'm going to try to do this. These are examples of verbal irony. My example would be, so I made a PowerPoint and everybody loves me. There's that gap possibly between what I said and what is reality, right? Or if I use it in a certain way, what I said and what I mean. And this is where we get more into that. So this slide should actually read sarcasm, and this is a very specific kind of verbal irony. It's when there's a shift in tone or attitude. And you can tell on this picture to the left, hey, what are you doing here at the supermarket? And I'm just like, oh, hunting elephants. So it's the way that I said it that brings out the sarcasm in that. It's edgier. There is a tone there, and it can be used also to create the effect of an attack, or depending on the tone, humor. And then you're going to have to figure out, is it sarcasm? Why? What effect does it have? Is it humor or attack or something else? And how does the writer use sarcasm? And why in this particular part of the speech is the writer using sarcasm? What idea is underneath? What meaning is underneath? Is the writer using it to grab attention or to uncover a truth or to show his or her point of view? And then what is the overall effect on the audience? Those are the questions that you will need to learn and remember and use and practice that will help you to develop your analysis in the essay. So we have verbal irony, lovely weather, and then if we take it one step further, we shift in tone and we have an attitude, we become edgier, then it becomes sarcasm. So here's the umbrella again. We have verbal irony, sarcasm. And now we're going to talk about a very specific kind of verbal irony with understatement. You can kind of guess from the word understatement, perhaps it's like underwhelming, right? Not overwhelming, but underwhelming. And it's a description that is less than what we think or anticipate the tone or expression of that statement should be. In the example here, a Category 5 hurricane, if someone says, we've had a bit of weather, really? I mean, you've had like a really bad weather. But this person is using understatement. Your job as the reader and the writer of this essay is to dig with questions, practice those questions. Why is the writer using it? Why in this part of the speech is the writer using it? What is the writer showing from using that? Okay. And the questions continue. I said that before, so you can go back. I don't want to repeat them all every time because you'll get tired of me saying them. Verbal irony can either be used as an overstatement, over the top, hyperbolic, right? Hyperbole, exaggeration, or understatement, that underwhelming, less than what we expect. And I want you to pay attention to this in the Greta Thunberg speech, right? She definitely uses irony a lot. You have to figure out, is it sarcasm? Is it understatement, right? And we're going to focus on understatement. So here's the example here. Again, it is less than what you think it should be based on the situation. A very specific kind of understatement is litotes. This is, that's how you say it, litotes. It is a singular noun. It is one thing. And that gets tricky because your ear thinks because there's an S on it that it is a plural, and it is not. So you have to treat it like I always say. It's like a, you know how simile is one thing, a simile. This is a simile. This is a litotes, right? Here. It is a negative that is used to express a positive. That is the simplest way to put it. Specifically, it is the negative of one thing that is used to express the positive of that one thing's opposite. And so that's confusing, but I will show you what that means. Another way to see it is two double negatives cancel each other out, like in math, and become a positive. And a reminder for double negative, I won't not use no double negatives. Totally cancels it out. So we don't want to use double negatives. Why would a writer use a litotes in a specific situation or example? Again, it is understatement. It creates an ironic effect because under the umbrella of irony, right? Verbal irony, understatement, litotes. It can bring attention to an idea. And I find this helpful, the third bullet. It's like when you're talking about something, yet you're not really talking about it, the idea somehow becomes more important, or people are trying to figure it out more. It's like a puzzle. They're interested. They're drawn in. You've captured them in some way. Or you're showing, you're exposing, you're uncovering, you're bringing attention to. And here's some examples. If you look for the double negatives, or you look for the opposite of the negative, right? So his statements are not without truth. He's not unlike his older brother. So if you take the opposite of unlike and you think the positive, right? So he's not unlike. So what would that mean? The not and the unlike are the two negatives making a double negative, and you come up with its positive or the opposite. I cannot disagree with you with your point of view, or I cannot disagree more with your point of view. What is the difference between I cannot disagree more with your point of view versus I agree with your point of view? There is a clear difference, and for sure it's more specific. It grabs your attention more, but it also makes me feel like I'm convinced a little bit more when I use litotes. Yeah, you sound like an authority sometimes when you use litotes, a litotes. So here we have verbal irony underneath that understatement. That special kind of understatement is a litotes, and then we have sarcasm. Sarcasm can kind of float in between all of those things, right? You kind of have to test the tone, test the attitude with the words around that example to see if it is sarcasm. And then you can pause here to take a look at this slide. Is this an example of one of those, more than one? You know what? Usually an example that you find will have more than one rhetorical device in it, and it's your choice. You come, it's like a buffet. Here's the example. It could be this, it could be this, it could be this. Most likely you're going to have the base of it be repetition, and then the writer will do stuff to kind of make it more, fancier than repetition. But you only need 3. And so the next video I show you will teach you how to quickly pull the 3 that you need. Which one is this rhetorical device? Again, it could be more than one. You won't be sorry you bought this knife set. I'm seeing won't and sorry as two negatives. And if I think of the opposite of that negative, it should be a positive. So the opposite of sorry, right, is not sorry, pleased, happy. Sounds a little different than you'll be happy, you bought it. You won't be sorry, you bought it. There's a difference. And it could be something else, definitely. Litotes, which words make this a litotes, example of litotes? You are not doing badly at all. I see not and badly, two double negatives cancel each other out to make the opposite, which should be a positive of that opposite, you're doing well. There's a difference. When you hear it, you're doing well. You're not doing badly at all. Okay,